the wrestling game community, this time of year is usually the period that fans look forward to the most, as the end of October and the beginning of November tends to be when 2K drop the latest simulation game. However, this year, due to a variety of reasons, that isn't happening, as 2K are taking extra time to ensure they get the next entry in the series right after the last attempt went so incredibly wrong. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 5 most important things that 2K need to do in WWE 2K22. Number 1. No more 2K Originals. On paper, 2K Originals sounded like a great idea. It gave the developers a blank slate to come up with original ideas and stories that weren't confined to a WWE ring, offering up something completely fresh and entirely different to that which we'd seen before. For a series that had become all too stale and unimaginative, Originals could have been a huge selling point, as there's always a lot of fans who enjoy the more wacky elements such as 2K19's career mode, and they would have liked to see that expanded upon, although what we got was something a lot more cheesy and something that missed the mark entirely. Not only did 2K Originals feel like a budget offering due to the text-based storytelling and the reusing of the same stars, but the biggest problem was that outside of these DLC packs, aside from The Fiend, none of these characters was something that you could really use, as a hacker version of Asuka or Zombie Cesaro just wasn't something that you want to see pop up in universe. The Southpaw DLC did offer up the chance for players to put together their own Southpaw universe, however even this failed to live up to expectations, as the majority of the characters featured in the Southpaw series weren't included in the pack. Overall, Originals did have potential, but the lack of new characters, text-based storytelling and the general content that was offered makes this something that deserves a hard pass next time around. Before we move on, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Did you know that Raid Shadow Legends is an awesome free mobile and desktop RPG game that boasts amazing graphics? New updates to Raid include the debut of the new Artifact Forge, where you can save time and craft artifacts directly, plus they've also revealed a whole new advanced quest system with some amazing rewards, and if that's not enough, they're also working on the brand new Doom Tower. What I really like about the game is how it brings all the features of a classic RPG game to mobile, as there's so much crammed into the game that you'll always have things to do, whether that be playing through the different storylines, giant boss battles, PvP battles, or collecting hundreds of different champions, all of which you can customize and collect by opening blue shards, where you can potentially pull epic, rare, or even legendary champions. If all this sounds awesome, make sure to go into the video description and download the game using my referral link, as if you're a new player, this will give you 100,000 silver, 50 gems, 10 mystery shards, and 1 free champion, Hexweaver. Once you download the game, head into your inbox in the upper right hand corner, where you'll find all of your rewards waiting. As a bonus, if you download the game using my referral link and you play through at least the tutorial, then I'll have a special thank you in the next video, as well as an even more special thank you for the top 10 players who play the most. Raid have set us a target of having 101 players sign up, which you can follow along using the progress bar in the video description, so let's see if we can smash this goal together and try out Raid Shadow Legends today. Number 2. Simplify the controls. When it was first announced that 2K20 would feature a new control system, fans were initially quite happy that 2K would be changing things up in the hope that it would make the gameplay feel fresh. However, upon playing the game, it was obvious that the only changes were remapping of buttons, which instead of making things easier, actually made things a whole lot worse, as rather than pressing one button to perform an action, most actions now required 2 buttons to be pressed. Not only was this a pain for new and experienced players, but players with disabilities complained that the controls stopped them playing entirely, as it just wasn't possible to press all the buttons that were required. Looking ahead to WWE 2K22, the control system is definitely something that needs a lot of work, not only to make it easier for players to use, but also to freshen up the gameplay and get players more engaged. This was something that WWE Battlegrounds got right, as the controls were a perfect fit for the fast-paced nature of that game, with a constant button bashing to get back up, or the alternating of the triggers to kick out of pins, really adding to the experience as it helped to get players engaged, which is something that I feel a simulation series could learn from, as going back to 2K20 after playing Battlegrounds, the biggest thing that you notice is the lack of having to do anything, as you're constantly waiting for animations to play out, such as when you're waiting for the character to get back up, rather than the excitement and the frantic nature of smashing away on the buttons to make that happen quicker. Number 3. More match types. One of the most frustrating things about the 2K series on current gen has always been the lack of new additions when it comes to match types, as games on the last generation of consoles offered up so many choices that were removed and never brought back. Matches like Special Guest Referee, Inferno, I Quit, Buried Alive, these were all fan favourite match types that were promised would return once 2K had found their footing on current gen, as that to scale back the offerings due to time restraints when working on 2K15. However, 5 years later, these are all match types that are still missing, and we've yet to see any new match types added. If time restraints were the reason for this, then 2K taking a year off to give themselves more time to work on the game means that they can now look to add these back into the series and offer up a game that is jam-packed full of options as a kind of celebration to the series in its past before then moving on to next gen. Number 4. A big new mode. One of the most important things that 2K need to do when working on the next game is to give fans a reason to buy it, and offering up a big new mode that catches the attention of players and makes them want to try it out is definitely the way to go. What that mode is though, that's still up in the air, as a lot of fans will instantly look to GM mode and demand its return, heralding it as a saving grace, which it could well be if it's done right, but at the same time you've also got a lot of people that have little interest in GM mode and would much rather 2K offered up something along the lines of Story Designer that would allow them to create and share their own stories, giving players an endless stream of content to play through. Based off the feedback program, it looks as though 2K will go down the route of GM mode, as that was the most requested of all. However, whether it is enough to pull people back into the series remains to be seen. Number 5. Bug testing. This is by far the most important of all the things that are listed on this list, and the one thing that 2K need to get right is after the bug-riddled release of WWE 2K20 and the way that game was made to be a laughingstock, this isn't something that 2K can afford to repeat. If the game launches and players find it to be full of bugs and glitches and those are shared, then it's going to stop a lot of people picking up the game for fear of a repeat of last year, which is why it's so important that 2K perform an extended period of testing and even go as far as having community leaders test out the game prior to release, as experienced players are much more likely to try things out that general players wouldn't, which is why you tend to see a lot of bugs when a game is released that never showed up in testing. So I feel like this is something that is make or break for 2K22 and definitely something that needs to be handled well. So there you go, that's my list of the most important things that 2K need to do with WWE 2K22. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments and what you feel the most 5 important things are to you. As always guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself an awesome day and I'll catch you later.